Ooh, it's a tasty riff.
You can't beat that with a stick. Well,
Yeah,
you can,
man.
but you'll lose.
How do you choose? How do you choose?
Now, some might argue that this is not a riff, but I disagree.
That's like old school stuff. All the amazing albums that we had that came out in the era, the one that really has stuck with me the most, that I've probably listened to more than anything is...
Greetings, Nick with Sweetwater here, and today I'm joined by the one, the only, thank goodness, Uncle Ben.
Hey there kids, it's good buddy, Uncle Ben.
So if you're one of his stepkids, he's going to show you how to play some US riffs from the 90s, because that's our task today. UK versus USA, the 90s.
So in no particular order, the first riff that came to mind for me when I'm thinking about the toughest riffs of the 90s in the USA, of course your mind goes towards the grunge scene, goes towards the Seattle scene, and my mind goes towards the guy whose name is on this Mighty Friedman amplifier I'm playing on right now, Mr. Jerry Cantrell of Alice in Chains. One of my absolute favorites from right there in the middle, 1995, off their self-titled record, opening riff from We Die Young.
Oh.
But you could have chose any Alice in Chains riff because he's got
Yeah.
so many. Get into it. Oh, it's a sultry one.
That's Mr. Cantrell. May he never stop doing what he's doing.
No kidding.
So if you're watching Jerry, keep it up, my friend, keep it up.
One of my favorite things about Jerry is the way that he kept that like Tony Iommi, sludgy 70s doom riff spirit alive all the way through the grunge era. Whole lot of Iommi in his playing.
And then you add on those harmonies.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it slightly differently to you. Well, number one, I'm doing the UK. Duh. Number two, I'm going to do it in chronological order because that's how my adult brain has to work. A little bit of OCD, maybe.
It'd be a better way to do it, but I was homeschooled and thus very bad at scheduling and arranging things.
So my first one is going to be from the year 1990. And it was the last record a man made with a band called Judas Priest for quite a while. The man, of course, being Rob Halford, who disappeared, went on a hiatus.
Yeah.
And did some great stuff, by the way, while he was off.
Oh, yeah.
But Painkiller, the album, the song Painkiller,
Yes, dude.
and that opening riff is just
The toughest.
majestic. And here's how not to play it. Hold the presses. Unfortunately, the camera filming the close-ups of my playing suffered a catastrophic memory card failure, and we didn't find out until long after Ben had left the building. In order not to waste all of Uncle Ben's great playing and wonderful insights, we're reshooting a close-up of me playing my next 6 riffs so you can see exactly what my fretboard hand is doing. Sadly, the wide camera doesn't capture that. That said, let's do this.
Ooh.
Phrygian majesticness. And when it's played by Mr. Faulkner or Mr. Tipton or Mr., of course, KK,
Yeah.
Mr. Downing, it sounds way better than that. But it's a good riff to get under your belt. So what's your number 2, my friend?
So, of course, coming out of the 80s, the big four of thrash. Coming into the 90s, we got a new challenger that entered the fray with their 1990 debut, major label debut, Cowboys from Hell. Of course, you knew Pantera was going to be on here. Had to, right?
Yeah.
It'd be a criminal sin if I didn't put some kind of Pantera on here. How do you choose? How do you choose? Pantera through the 90s.
You have to put all the songs in a big pile, and it's a huge pile.
It's a big
and
pile.
just pick one. It's not just one riff in a song, it's 4 or 5.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all great.
Only thing I could come down to is how about the one that turned me into a fan, and probably turned most of us into fans whenever we heard Cowboys from Hell the very first time. Just go with the title track.
Yeah.
You can't beat it.
No, you
Nobody
can't.
can be mad at that. Maybe. It's the internet. Everybody gets mad at everything, right? Tasty.
And the fact that opening riff is just, I say just, it's the blues scale.
Yeah, straight on. It's just
It's
a blues
almost
scale.
like an amazing picking pattern that's melodic and sticks in your head forever and a day.
Oh, yeah.
And I love the way he starts it an octave higher
Yeah.
and then goes an octave lower. And he does that on the solo as well. And in the middle section.
Yeah, that's right.
The diddle, the diddle, the diddle, the diddle, the diddle. That
takes it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so well composed.
My next one is another fine English band that lost their singer for a while.
Oh.
I'm going to 1992. The singer's name, Bruce Dickinson. The band, of course, Iron Maiden. And Fear of the Dark.
Yeah, that's the one I would have chosen too, man.
A fine album.
Yes.
And the opening riff to that is a really, really, really good picking exercise.
Yes, it is.
And once again, I'm going to show you how not to play it. And the cool thing about it too is that, if I remember correctly, I know Adrian wasn't on that record, so it was just Yannick and Dave. I think Yannick plays it low, Dave plays it high, and then they join at the very end. So you've got that octave beauty.
Killer.
And here goes nothing. So there you have it, a great picking exercise, especially if you do it better than I just did.
It's got to be hard to choose a Maiden riff from that era, though, because that record is packed.
Yes, it is.
Nice choice, sir.
Thank you, sir. And over to you, my friend.
Nick, let me take you back. The year was 1992. I had a bowl cut. I was cruising around in my mom's little Ford sedan. And this was going to be years before I even thought about picking up a guitar. But I heard something on the radio that intrigued me. It was a rock band that went really loud and then got really quiet before they got really, really loud again.
As they should.
Yeah. And I was just intrigued by the dynamics of the whole thing whenever I heard Nirvana for the first time. And of course, Nirvana didn't invent that, and Kurt himself would have told you he was getting it from the Pixies and other influences. But they definitely brought that grungy, loud to quiet dynamic to the masses. How do you pick a Nirvana riff?
It's almost as hard as impossible, actually, as picking a dime riff.
Kind of is. Kind of is, really. I mean, there's the obvious, like Teen Spirit. I almost did that just because, duh, you know. Off of Nevermind, I really like In Bloom a lot. I think it's got all the ragged edges, some of the nasty chromaticism and everything in it.
Right.
It's pretty and ugly at the same time, which sums up a lot of Nirvana sound. So that's one that I chose.
Like you said, making something ugly beautiful.
Yeah.
In fact, for a while, going back to your earlier riff, we had it on the billboard outside of Sweetwater for a while. It was a Jerry Cantrell quote.
Yeah?
We take things that are ugly and make them beautiful.
I like that.
And he does it well. As did, may he rest in peace, Mr. Cobain.
No doubt. There's a really excellent cover of that song by one of my favorite bands, Torch, Torche. Right. They recently broke up, but have you ever heard that band?
I've heard of them, but I haven't heard them.
They're so cool, but they got a great In Bloom cover. You can find it on Spotify. You got to hear it. It's so good.
Consider it my mission after this.
That's right. Back to you, sir.
So my number 3, I've done Priest, I've done Maiden.
Covering the bases.
Maybe the biggest bass of all, based on longevity and the timeline, Black Sabbath.
Yeah, you can't not.
The riff master,
you can't not.
Mr. Tony Iommi. They did an album called Humanizer.
Yeah.
Which was great because it got back together the Mob Rules lineup. So Dio on vocals, Geezer Butler on bass, and Vinny on drums. Vinny Appice on
Unbeatable.
drums. And it's mind-bogglingly good. There's a song on there called Time Machine.
Yeah.
And the thing I love about Tony is the way he'll go from root to flat 5, and he does it in such a way you've never heard it before. And he does exactly that on this riff. So
get into it. Oh!
You can't beat that with a stick. Well,
yeah,
you can,
man.
but you'll lose.
I like the 7 in there as well. It's dope,
yeah,
man.
It just, 2 of the most evil intervals known to man. And once again, he's taken 2 ugly ingredients and made something majestically, metallically beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's brutal. Let's call it Brutiful.
Brutiful.
Trademark, Uncle Ben.
Yeah, there you go.
I got to take it back to the grunge scene again because there's so many awesome riffs that came out of those bands. And I think of all the amazing albums that we had that came out in the era, the one that really has stuck with me the most that I've probably listened to more than anything is Super Unknown by Soundgarden.
Oh.
I love that album. I swear to you, it has more odd time signatures than a Rush record, but it's also
Is that
super
possible?
listenable. I know, right? It's super listenable. The songs are great, heavy. They got killer riffs. Everybody knows Spoon Man. Everybody knows Black Hole Sun. But like later on in the record, they reached deeply into their Sabbath roots. Funny, just following the riff that you just did, with the song 4th of July. Do you know that one?
Yes, of course.
It's one of the darkest, most evil riffs ever. I think it's in, C standard tuning, if I'm not mistaken. Soundgarden used all those jacked up tunings back then. I'm just gonna play it in drop D and hope for the best. I love that one, man. But that record has so many riffs on it that are super sick. And they're, again, in very bizarre tunings. But God, 4th of July, I think, is one of the coolest, most underrated songs of the entire 90s, in my opinion. It's amazing. And like, how did Chris find a way to sing such an awesome melody over something so ugly and dissonant? The guy's like a melodic genius. He's amazing.
Yeah. Right, for the next one, I'm going to go forward to 93.
93,
I've done
okay.
one from 92, from 92. Now I'm going to go to 93. I'm going to stay there for a little bit. There was a band that never made it in the States. They were called The Almighty.
Never heard him.
The third album was called Power Tripping.
Okay.
And there was a song on there called Addiction. Literally, at the risk of being a pun demon, I was addicted to it as soon as I heard it. It's just one of those riffs where you go, I wish I'd written that.
Dude,
darn it.
Those are all the best
I wish I'd
ones.
written that. And
I
it's
wish I wrote that.
really, really simple.
Yeah, man.
Well, no, it's not, because it's great.
Yeah.
But never confuse complexity with greatness, because it's
That's right.
not always true.
That's right, man.
I'm going to have to change guitars for this, so we're going to do a little bit of digital magic, because I've got to go
Ooh.
into the demonic drop D tuning.
Uh-oh, dropping the D.
So, digital magic done. I'm here with this fine None More Green PRSSE.
Love that. That's where the slime live right there.
Oh yeah, it does. And this is Addiction by the Mighty Almighty. That's an almighty riff, in
That's
my humble
a
opinion.
tasty one right there.
Yep.
I got to check him out. I've never even heard of that band.
And the guy's great. Ricky Warwick, his name is. He
Yeah.
went on to sing in Thin Lizzy.
Oh, no kidding.
Monster, great frontman. Just great songs, but for some reason never hit the States.
Interesting.
In the UK, they were pretty darn big for a while, actually.
That is indeed some almighty riffage. So I love Stone Temple Pilots. STP, I think in a lot of ways a very underrated band, you know? To me, they're like the Led Zeppelin of the grunge era, and they kept that vibe going
Right.
through the 90s. And Robert DeLeo, man, is one of my favorite bass players of all time. Robert is absolutely amazing. And Dean's guitar playing, his brother over there on guitar, he had such creative stuff, and he used all those weird like Jimmy Page chords in his playing, and he always had the coolest tone. It's kind of hard to narrow it down, but again, I went with one of the first ones that I ever remember hearing, which is Plush. Little taste of Tennessee there at the end for you.
That was cool. Their songwriting prowess was
Incredible.
Absolutely off the hook.
Amazing, man. And there's so many just cool things in there. There's like major 7 chords. I mean, even that like first riff with that little chromatic walk-up that's kind of bluegrassy. You know, if you speed it up, it sounds like mountain music, like what I grew up with. But even having like these nasty, like diminished sounds and everything in there, they were doing really sophisticated stuff in an era that people just think of power chords about, you know?
Yeah, they were an extraordinary band.
Yes.
Extraordinary. I had the good fortune of, I saw them tour with the Chili Peppers, and they played an outdoor amphitheater in New York, actually on Long Island. And for the last STP song, and as great as their drummer was, Chad Smith got on the throne.
Oh, cool.
It was mind-boggling.
Oh, he's amazing.
That man was, it's like he's trying to drive the kit through the world.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I bet that was
putting
awesome.
him with those guys, it was just groove melody fest. It was wonderful. So my number 5 stays in 93.
All right.
There was an amazing band called Blue Murder with an even more amazing guitar player that you know and love, and I know and love, John Sykes.
The master.
Their second album, Nothing But Trouble, unfortunately failed miserably.
Yeah, wasn't a big success commercially,
But there's a song on that album called Cry for Love, and the riff it's just quintessential, my big word of the day, quintessential
it's
Mr.
$5
Sykes. I think it's $5.50 actually.
With inflation, these days, in this economy. Oh.
So this is the main riff from Cry for Love, and you might recognize a little motif that I play not as well as he does in it, and then we'll discuss that because it's pretty funny.
Let's find out.
Now, I'm sure you probably recognize the little motif I was talking about.
Oh, yeah, there's something in there I recognize.
Yeah, that little motif that goes...
I recognize that from another tune.
Plagiarism is considered illegal, but not when you plagiarize yourself. Yep. Well done, Mr. Sykes, well done. You wrote it, you own it, and you recycled it beautifully.
If I wrote anything half that cool, I would try to rip it off as many times as I could to get more mileage out of it.
Yeah, because it's perfect. Yeah. That flat, once again, it's that flat five going to the root.
Okay, so for my next choice, I went with a band that got its start in the 90s. There's a lot of those bands that kind of got trapped in that decade that just sort of always stayed 90s bands. And they can live off that nostalgia because they did amazing stuff. But some of them transcended into the next millennium and beyond, like Tool, for example. Right. Like, it's a band that got their start in that time period, but I don't really think of them as like a 90s band. If anything, their most popular stuff has been done probably in the 2000s, right?
Right.
But that band, man, like, especially like if you grew up around the same time period that I did, you got into Tool, you learned drop D tuning, and it like changed the way that you played guitar.
Right.
A lot of us back then were missing a lot of the subtleties and complexities of what Adam was doing with that really percussive, you know, style that he had in his playing. And I know that a lot of us played the main riff from Anma. Correct me in the comments. I have no idea, guys. Again, I was homeschooled, you know. I do what I can. But that riff from that tune, you know the one I'm talking about.
Yes, I do, yeah.
Listen right here. Like, who does that sound like other than Adam Jones?
Nobody.
Like, where did he get these ideas from? It's like this kind of polyrhythmic thing between the two hands. It's all super rhythmic and percussive, and it's not flashy or anything, but it just sounds so unique and so cool.
And he also did the claymation as well, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So a man of many talents.
Dude, those videos back in the day,
they were brilliant.
Just freaked me out.
Yeah, you probably thought you were drinking when you were a kid after watching.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe I need to sober up after watching that video. But you're 5. No. My number 6, staying in the 93 period. This is the last one from that year. Band called Carcass.
Oh, yeah, dude. I forgot about Carcass. They're from from the UK, of course.
The album artwork.
Legendary.
Bill Steer, one of the most underrated riff writers of all time,
Absolutely.
in my humble opinion.
Massively influential.
Yeah, hugely. Like, he's the guy really, like him and Chuck, may he rest in peace, from Death. Melodic death metal sounds like an oxymoron, but not in the hands of Chuck from Death or Bill Steer.
Oh, yeah.
Just catchy, evil, detuned stuff.
Right.
It's down in B, so I've actually borrowed a baritone for this, just so I can get in the ballpark, because if I play it, even if I'm down to E flat, it still doesn't sound quite right. No. So another magical digital guitar change. Can't remember if I mentioned the name of the song, but it's called No Love.
Oh yeah, dude, that's a good one. That's a good one.
It is, even in my hands.
The metal, the brutality.
Oh, it's viewed once again. Brutiful.
Dude, that's such a good one, man. And like, I feel like the entire, the kind of new wave of American metalcore kind of stuff that we had in the early 2000s with Killswitch Engage and Lamb of God and all that, I don't think any of that stuff would have happened without Heartwork.
No, I agree with you.
I
got to see them on that tour, and Michael Amott went on, of course, to do other great things with Arch Enemy and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Guy turned out to be a really good friend of mine. Mike Hickey played guitar with him.
Yeah, dude, Mike's a buddy of mine. I love Mike.
He was in Venom for a while, and he was Mr. Bonamossa's guitar tech for a long, long time. So Mike, if you're watching it,
hey,
don't be a stranger. So you're number 7, sir. You're number 7.
So another band that had amazing explosion in the 90s was Rage Against the Machine. That's one of those pivotal 90s US bands that you have to talk about if you're talking about a list of sickest riffs. I started going through like Evil Empire whenever I was making this list, just to try to find like what was the sickest riff on there. I just started listening to the whole album, and I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be working right now. Because the grooves and the simplicity of everything are just insane, man. Have you seen Rage live?
Yeah.
Dude, I saw him for the first time just 2 years ago at Madison Square Garden. And even with Zach De La Rocha, like, that's when he had his like broken leg and he was sitting on a milk crate on stage.
Right.
And the band is, they're getting on up in their years and everything. They still sounded unbelievable and just angry about everything. They were amazing. But when it came time to choose a riff, I gotta go with the ultimate simplicity, the one-note riff. Kind of goes back to like the Immigrant Song kind of thing, honestly. Bulls on Parade.
Right.
I can't deny it. I can't deny the simplicity of that riff. Nope, I'm in drop D. We'll keep that in. Nothing fancy at all about that, but it's the total package.
Yeah.
When you hear it with the drums, when you hear it with the bass, it's the combined total of everything that makes it so powerful and so heavy. It's amazing stuff, man.
Yeah, and he was a game changer.
Oh, yeah.
Playing a Telecaster, using the rhythm pickup a lot.
Yeah. All the effects use.
Like less is, everyone says you can't put this in the effects loop. I beg to differ.
Yeah.
Listen to Rage Against the Machine. A wah-wah in the effects loop works really well.
I know a lot of guitar players that are just like, oh, he's just an effects guy. All he does is play around with pedals and all that jazz. And then you hear some of his riffs that are just guitar straight into amp. And it's like, oh no, the effects are just the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
The guy's a riff machine.
He makes a great steak and then he garnishes it with effects. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man.
It's
so cool.
the...
I love how that riff, like, there's not like an ending to it. There's not like a lick at the end, like a AAAB kind of structure.
No, it's just what it is.
Sounded good once, do it a bunch more times, and that's it, Ultimate simplicity.
And Tom Morello's responsible for one of my sort of pinch me moments.
Yeah?
Years and years and years ago, a friend of mine, I was living in New York, in Long Island, a friend of mine from the UK called me up and said, is there anywhere where you can get Guitarist magazine? I said, yeah, if I go into Manhattan, I can buy it. He goes, get the one with the cover. He told me what the cover was. I said, but it's like $28. He goes, no, trust me, buy it and read the Tom Morello interview.
Yeah.
So I went in there on good faith because I trusted the guy. And I knew where he lived. So
Yeah.
I went in, bought the magazine and read it, and they asked him how he came up with his initial ideas, and he said when he was at Berkeley, he'd sit and quote-unquote make weird noises over Motley Crue and Grim Reaper riffs.
No doubt.
So,
really?
Seaman Hell did something good. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's got to be surreal, though, just to know
Yeah.
that like something that you did crept into what he was doing.
Yeah,
That's
like
amazing.
a 0.0001%. I don't care. I'll take it. So
Oh,
Tom,
man.
thank you. And I've since met him, and he always brings it up. It's really cool.
That's
Yeah, I used to
super
jam
cool.
to your stuff.
He's like a guitar guy. That's what I love about Tom, too. Like, he loves all the shred guys. He's like a real encyclopedia of guitar players.
Yeah, my theory is he probably went, this stuff sucks, I better make some weird noises over it. But whatever, if it influenced him, it influenced him.
That's right.
And I'm grateful
I
for
take
that.
the credit. Okay, back to you, sir.
Here I am back with this fine Union Jack guitar because I'm playing UK riffs. Staying in 93, number 4 from 93. And
Wow.
it's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
productive year.
And there's no way on God's green earth or England's green and pleasant land that I can do a batch of UK riffs without Mr. Lemmy Kilmister being involved.
I'd have been mad at you if you didn't.
Motorhead, the seminal band, the first band that made punks and metal people like each other.
That's true. It's crossover.
He
Yeah.
just went right down the middle. It's like, this is what we are. And this is I Am the Sword. It's simply brilliant, but deceptively hard to play, actually.
Ah.
This is why Mr. Kilmister stands alone along next to Iomi and those other rare oxygen-breathing humans that we can just look up and go, thank you. So this is I Am the Sword from the one, the only Motorhead.
A mighty one.
Almost along the lines of Rage.
Kind of is. If you put like a halftime kind of groove behind it, that could totally be a Rage riff.
And that's why Motorhead are unparalleled and will remain so for eternity, in my humble opinion.
Great choice. I like that one.
Yeah, me too.
I need to listen to that record. I've never heard that one.
Yeah, they made records all the time,
Yeah, they never stopped.
regardless of what was going on. It's like, we are Motorhead,
Yep.
go.
That's what we're doing.
No sleep till the rainbow, I guess. What's your next one, my friend?
For my next choice, we got to go back to the Big Four, who kept it real all the way through the 90s, and perhaps none more real than Dave Mustaine and co. over in Megadeth. Now, this is where my dilemma begins. 1990, we have Rust in Peace drops, one of the greatest metal records of all time, and is just jam-packed with all of the sickest riffs ever. But I was introduced to that album way later. My introduction to Megadeth was like 90s, mid-90s Megadeth, like Euthanasia,
Right.
Countdown to Extinction, records like that. That was my introduction to the band. So the one I initially wanted to put on my list was that intro riff from Killing Road off of Euthanasia, which I think is a massively underrated record. You know that one.
That's hugely under. I worked with Dave at that time.
Oh, no kidding.
That record's just chock-a-block with instantly catchy riffs, actually.
Absolutely so, yeah.
Really underrated record, in
And of
my
course,
opinion. I agree
Marty's
with you.
soloing on it. Oh my
Ridiculous,
God.
dude.
Lethal.
Ridiculous.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So I initially wanted to put the riff from Killing Road. I might just split the difference and do two, because how can I
No,
choose?
do it.
How
You
I
can,
choose?
yeah.
Because I can. That's just one of my favorite riffs ever. The arpeggios.
Oh, the
it's like all
arpeggios are brilliant,
Phrygian
yeah.
sounding. I love that one. But I have to internet proof myself and put something from Rust in Peace on here. Again, how do you choose? I'm gonna go with the riff that kind of signaled how cool the mid-tempo, not super thrashy Megadeth stuff was gonna be in the 90s. I'm gonna choose that bridge riff from Holy War's The Punishment Due.
oh.
You know the one.
Oh, I love it.
God, I love that one.
When he descends chromatically
Little
on the
majors
major
in there,
dyads
yeah.
with the open B and E ringing.
Classic
Godlike.
Dave.
Yeah, classic Dave.
Yeah. And then like the pick scrape thing, it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, hey, Gojira, there
Yeah.
you are.
Here you
There
go.
are.
Hey, someone can take this and run with it and then
Yeah.
play the Olympics.
Yeah.
God bless them. How
Yeah,
great
no
was
kidding.
that?
Oh, incredible, dude. So yeah, I don't feel bad about choosing two Megadeth riffs for one spot. Fight me. To you, my friend.
Right, so I'm finally going to leave 93
Okay, we're leaving it behind.
and go into 94, and there's no way I can go through the 90s in Britain without touching on Britpop.
Yeah. Oh, some amazing stuff.
Some amazing stuff, and there was this guy, Noel Gallagher.
I've heard the name.
Yeah.
Had a brother, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a brother that they get on really well together.
Best buds.
But in 94, apparently they were making some demos. The rest of the band went to get some lunch at the Chinese. When they came back, legend has it, Noel went, oh, I've got another riff. And it became the band's first single.
Trying to honestly remember what the first thing, I mean, Wonderwall was the first thing that I heard from them in the States, but
Yeah,
I'm not sure
it
what the
was a
first
hit in
single was.
England, and the demo version, which it was, ended up being on Definite Maybe.
Oh, wow.
And there's nothing maybe about this riff. It was definitely a hit. Supersonic.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, man.
And
I love
it's
that song.
just really, really clever use of cool chords. And
Yeah.
once again, that open E and B string
Little
jangling.
jangle.
Yeah.
Right back to the Birds, right?
Yeah, right back to the Birds. So here goes Mr. Gallagher.
Nice
That's
one.
great.
That's killer one. I love that voicing, that
Yeah.
F sharp with the open strings on it.
And then he goes to B7.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
Great.
Yeah.
Now, what is that? An F sharp minus 7 with
It's like an
something?
11 in there.
Yeah, with an
'cause the
11,
B is the
exactly.
11th, yeah.
And a $50 chord.
Yeah, absolutely so. Yeah. So another band that got their start in the 90s but escaped the decade and continued to age and blossom gracefully and continue inspiring the masses is the Deftones.
Absolutely.
They always get lumped in with, you think about the Family Values Tour 98 kind of crowd of bands that some of which really stayed in that era and a few of which, like Deftones, just continued to grow. I think Deftones only get better with time, personally. And Steph Carpenter, man, he's one of those guys that for guitar players of my generation, he was really inspiring because it seemed like you could probably play his riffs, but they still sounded awesome.
Yeah.
They're simple, but you could, tune your guitar down to drop D flat or whatever and play along with the record pretty easily. It wasn't like super intimidating. And then that guy, I feel like, has continued to be super influential with the way that he's brought 7 and 8 string guitars into more and more mainstream music. That guy might have shown more people what 8 string guitar sounds like than any band.
Right.
Maybe. I might be wrong about that. I think he's been a very influential guitar player.
He's up there. Anyway,
Yeah.
if he's not the guy, he's one of the top 3.
Influential player and continues to be so. So I went with the main riff from My Own Summer, Shove It. Get into it. Ooh, it's a tasty riff.
It's great. And like you said, Steph's an extremely influential man.
Yeah.
And long may he remain to be so.
Long may he riff.
We need people like him.
That's right.
More than
the
ever,
riffs
darn
alive.
it. Keeping riffs alive, you're right. My next one is a British band that made it really, really big in America.
Okay.
And it was at the end of the Nirvana kind of, whatever you want to call it, alternative grunge, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Frontman, pretty good-looking chap called Gavin Rossdale.
Oh, I've heard of the guy. Yeah.
And they had this song that I just think is freaking excellent, Little Things.
Oh, dude, that's a good one.
It's a great riff.
When you said Bush, that wasn't the era or like the riff that I was thinking that you were gonna do, but that's a great one.
I think that's the thing. The album came out, 16 Stone came out in 94. That single came out in 95 and exploded in America.
Yeah.
Little Things That Kill. Wow. And this is not a little thing, but it certainly did kill. But there's a caveat to this. And I love the arpeggiation he does in the middle as well. It's kind of clever. So the riff goes, let's see. What a great riff. Now, I would normally redo that, but what happened this morning was I had a change of heart. As great as that riff is, I realized that I'd ignored one of my all-time heroes. And he went from rock to blues, and the transition was 1990. So I'm going to go back in time because there's no way I cannot mention Gary Moore.
I was hoping you're going in that direction, dude. Yes!
Mr. Gary Moore. Like in the 80s, well, he went from, Coliseum and all that fusion, jazz rock, whatever you want to call it. Then the Thin Lizzy stuff, his solo stuff, which was electrifying.
Incredible.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
like End of the World, all of
playing.
that stuff. And then he went blues.
Yeah.
And there was an album called Still Got the Blues that came out in 1990. Now, some might argue that this is not a riff, but I disagree, because a riff is a memorable motif played on guitar.
Yeah, it's a hook.
And that was one of his many gifts, is he had like that Neil Schon thing where he could write a melody on a guitar, and then it became as important as the vocal.
Right, yeah. It's critical to the integrity of the song.
And without the hook, and he keeps going back to it, altering it slightly. So I'm not going to play anything like him, so I'm going to change guitars very quickly because I need to go to the neck pickup. And once again, digital magic. This is not greeny, but it's green.
It's greener than greeny.
And this is nothing like Gary Moore, but it's the best I can do. And this is from memory, so if I'm slightly off, forgive me, please.
That's majestic.
It's beautiful.
I'm with you,
when-
that's a riff.
Yeah, I would think it is.
That's a riff.
It's not, it's a melody line. Yeah, it's a riff. So that was, with the greatest respect to Mr. Rossdale and Bush, you got brushed over. But I played your riff because it's great, even though I messed it up.
It'd be hard to get mad about getting bumped off of any list because Gary Moore.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't believe I lost to Gary Moore, said nobody ever. Right?
So your last one, my friend.
Okay, last one on my list. I couldn't not put something Metallica on here. They only released the biggest metal album ever in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
The Black Album, self-titled, None More Black. How could I not put something from that on there? But I'm not going to go with the obvious choices. Of course, everybody's going to put Enter Sandman on there. We've heard it. It's great, of course. I thought about maybe the Sad But True, especially like the verse riff in that one is nasty. Honestly, the whole record is covered in amazing riffs, but there's one that is after the solo in my opinion, one of the most underrated Metallica songs ever. Last track on the record, Struggle Within.
That's a great song.
That song rules. And I feel like nobody ever mentions how great it is. But there's this riff that they play after the solo, and they only play it once in the entire song. But it's like one of the sickest parts on the whole album, and I love this riff. So it had to make the list. My favorite, probably most underrated riff from the Black Album. I love that one. That's like old school stuff.
Yeah, and they only play it once, which
Yeah.
leaves you wanting more. And there's a gift to that. It's the
think
exact
so.
opposite of Seek and Destroy.
Yeah, totally. They give you a lot of that thing over and over,
Which is
right?
great, by the way. Nothing
Oh, yeah,
wrong
of
with
course.
that.
No.
If it's wonderful. But sometimes there's a beauty about making people go, they've stopped already?
Yeah.
You have to go listen to it again. What a concept.
And it's cool too, because it comes right at the end of the solo, which is kind of like the climax moment of the tune so far, and then it hits you with that riff where it goes even further. I love that one. That's an awesome one. Had to put it on there.
So now it's my last one, number 10, staying with Britpop after veering to Mr. Moore.
Okay.
May he rest in peace. The band Blur.
Oh, dude, yeah.
And the funny thing is, the song I'm about to massacre was originally written kind of as a joke. It's called Song 2, and it's 2 minutes and 2 seconds long, and it's not called Song 2 because of that, it was just Song 2.
Oh,
But just coincidence has it, it's 2 minutes and 2 seconds long. Apparently Graham Coxon, the guitar player, just got tired of playing complicated things. I was watching it on TikTok the other day, I think, and he said, I just wanted to go back and play something really simple and something really noisy.
Yeah.
And he achieved both, so mission well done. It starts with that quiet, you know, the clean, plinky stuff. So let's play the intro first, the one that gets you started before they go, woohoo! I'm going to get crucified on the internet for playing it that badly, but I don't care. It's a blur. If it was meant as a joke, that's how I'm playing it right now. But where it gets majestic, in my opinion, is when he steps on that rat.
Get nasty.
And they do the woohoo thing, and it goes into. That's great.
That's an awesome riff.
That's a great, simple, noisy, nasty, dare I say it, perfect riff.
It is. That's, again, one of those where I'm like, I wish I would have written that. Yeah. I would have put that down and been like, that's too simple. That can't be the riff.
Yeah.
But it can.
But it is, and it can be.
Except that it's in like the worst key ever on guitar, like F minor.
Yeah, it's...
Why?
Yeah,
Why?
a lot of people assumed that they were tuned to E flat, but they weren't.
Right, yeah.
It goes
put it in F sharp.
It goes F to E flat. Wow. But he plays the inverted chords. That's why it sounds so nasty. Yeah, it's that old Blackmore thing.
Yeah, dude.
Put the fifth load in the root, it becomes evil.
I was going to be mad if you didn't put that on there. That's a legendary one.
Kind of had to be done. Sorry about the clean part, but hey, I suck at clean. Living, breathing, on the internet forever proof right there, folks.
Do we want to cross the streams and do one honorable mention from each other's countries?
Yes, please.
Of origin.
Yes.
Let's go with one. Okay, so for me, I'll be honest with you guys. Unpopular opinion. I'm not a big U2 fan. I'm just not really into it that much. Nothing against them. Obviously, a lot of people like U2.
Right.
It's just never really been my thing until I heard that jammin' opening riff from Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me from the Batman Forever soundtrack. You know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I love that riff. I think it's awesome. Simple, but it's really cool.
Yeah.
It gets kind of mean at the end with the flat 9 in there.
Yeah.
It's unexpectedly aggressive for U2.
Yeah. No echo dancing around.
Nah, no delays, nothing like that. Kind of an un-U2-ish riff, maybe that's why I like it. For you, sir, what is your USA pick?
This was a tough one.
Tell me about it.
Really, really tough. That's why I didn't envy you your task. You mentioned him earlier, Dimebag Darrell and Pantera.
Yeah.
I have to do, out of honor to the great man, my dear friend. So I've chosen a little bit off the beaten, but not that far off the beaten track, but the Great Southern Trendkill album, which, what was that, mid-90s, 96, I think?
Something like that, yeah.
The title track,
Dude.
not very radio-friendly at all, brutal. And just before the solo, there's that amazing riff he plays, and it's one of those ones. As soon as you hear it, you go, "I've got to learn that," and that's exactly what I did. I actually heard the demo and went, learning it. Yep. So I knew it before the album came out.
That's awesome.
And it's this one here.
So much attitude, so much filth.
Yeah, probably too many squeals, but who cares? Dime, thank you, my friend. Thank you. What a great riff.
Incredible.
What a great riff.
That's a great choice, man. But again, you could have picked any of them.
Yeah.
And it would have been the right answer.
And it would have been the right answer, you said. So I know we're going to get flack. Let us know which ones we missed, of which there are hundreds of thousands probably.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Let us know down there in the comments section for sure. We want to know your top 10 lists from both of our homelands.
Ben, thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Nick.
Appreciate it.
Oh, always a pleasure to be here. And thank you guys so much for watching.
Uncle Ben, folks. Uncle Ben. Not just good rice.